Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I'm reacting to an artist that I have reacted to before. She absolutely blew my mind last time singing Mama Knows Best. Today I am reacting again to Katrina Velarde performing Go the Distance. So let's get into it.
Wish 1075.
I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a hero's welcome will be waiting for me, where the crowd will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, this is where I'm meant to be. I'll be there someday. I can go the distance and I'll find my way. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. When I go the distance, I'll be right where I belong.
Her voice is stunning. I would like to note that it's quite obvious that there is a little bit of effect put on the sound. This does not mean that her voice has been auto-tuned. It does not mean that anything has actually been done to her voice to make her sound that way. It's just a little bit of reverb and it makes us feel like we're in an acoustically sound space. That's it. To me, it's not making up for anything that's in her voice. You can still quite clearly hear the tone of her sound coming through, but I did just want to point that out from the beginning that we got a little bit of reverb on there, and that is completely normal for contemporary singing. So voice-wise, things that I'm already loving is the slightly lighter sound that she's demonstrating in this one, because in Mama Knows Best, she's like 120 out the gate, like that crazy belt that she did in the beginning of Mama Knows Best. This is like the opposite of that. She's starting off with a very gentle speech quality. She's mixing, and then she's got a lighter mechanism as she goes into those higher notes. She's not belting them. They're not overwhelmingly loud, and they're suiting the music and the feel of the lyric. So already she's sort of meeting the demands of the song, and I'm loving being able to see this versatility from her, because Mama Knows Best is such a powerful song that is basically go, 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 go the entire time. And then in this one, you can hear her speech quality, you can hear how she's mixing up, you can hear that she's using softer sounds as she's ascending into those higher notes, and then as we got to the end of that little section before I paused, we get to hear a hint of that bigger belt coming through. The fact that she's doing this sitting down is also, the fact that they do anything on the Wish bus sitting down is just insane to me, because if you want like big belting, to me, my legs are so important. So usually for really big belting, I would have something that lets me connect with the rest of my body. But that's just me, and that's usually what I get my people who train with me to do. But if this is normal and that's what they're expected to be able to do, it's crazy. And they're going to have to support even more from the muscles that are available to them. Maybe she's under the desk and just like using her thighs. I don't know. But she's so relaxed doing this. And that is also, it's kind of cool being able to see this side of her when Mama Knows Best was so intense. Anyway, we're going to keep going.
Down an unknown road to embrace my fate. Though the road may wander, it will lead me to you.
Okay, so we're getting a fuller sound. Listen to the comparison between how she approached the first verse initially. It's so light and gently mixed and speechy.
Where the crowd will cheer when they see my face,
So quite gentle, quite tentative. It's just the words that she's getting out there. And yet we hit this second verse so much fuller. A lot of the warm qualities that are in Katrina's sound were coming through here. They were still there in the beginning. We just got a little bit more brightness from her in that first verse as she was ascending in particular. So here we're getting something that's much more full, a little bit more beefy. We're getting a lot more of those warm tones, a lot more consistently throughout the phrase, because obviously the song is starting to build. It can't stay the same the entire time.
My faith, though the road may wander, it will lead me to you, and 1,000 dreams would be worth my wait. It may take a lifetime, but somehow I see it through. And I won't look back. I can go the distance, and I'll stay on track. No, I won't accept defeat. It's an uphill slope, but I won't lose hope. And I go the distance, and my journey is complete. But to look beyond the glory is the hardest part. For a hero's strength is measured by his
Okay, so there was one little moment there where she went to belt and the sound got a little bit tight. I'll see if I can find it and put it in here.
It's an uphill.
That's just her larynx getting a little bit too high on that one, so it started to press and it meant that the sound wasn't as free. You compare that to the rest of the belting that she did after that, there were still little points of tension here and there, but on the sustains, she really leveled that out, and that's good to hear from a vocalist. So even though we can have points of tension in our singing, if we're capable of releasing it at a later point in time and sort of manage the efficiency of our sound through that way, then something happening every now and again, that to me is not an indication of a lack of technique. It's just stuff happens. Sometimes things happen. Maybe when she's practicing at home, that particular note never is tight. And then in this particular situation, for some reason, it decided to do that. My point is she managed to balance it out as she was sort of leaving that note, and then particularly as she entered those sustained belts. I thought she did a really good job of balancing resonance and space and support through there. Honestly, I think the support was what really kicked in for her as she was going into those sustained phrases. So by the time she hits that high note, it comes easily and it comes freely because it's a different tone up there. So the vocal folds are at a different weight. So the vocal folds are thinner and I guess you could say lighter. They've been stretched in order to get to that high note. So your support underneath needs to be able to cater to that change of condition that's happening at the vocal fold level as far as the mass is concerned. So let's go back and listen because she's got these sustained belts.
Measured by his
So you get that more powerful presence from that second register. She's taking up a little bit of mass, but she's let it go enough that it doesn't sound like she's straining. I would hesitate to say that this is a full second register. I do think there's a little bit of mixing going on there, but it's not a heavy mix so that it still sounds like it's in her first register. You do get a definite timbral change between those two parts of where she just went from. So if we listen again. So we're getting that timbral change between those two sounds, but they're not so different that the second one is sounding weak. That's what I mean by there's a little bit of mixing going on there because she hasn't disconnected from the mass in her first register to the point where it sounds like a massive gear change between the two sounds. It's an awesome release into like the second register function of the voice without it completely seeding the mass and becoming light and wispy. Classical singers are really good at that, by the way. I do bang on about classical using predominantly second register, but when I listen to them, the ones that have the most powerful voices are balancing really well with the acoustic space in their vocal tract. So kind of everything at some point is a mix. Mixed belting is a slightly different thing as far as I'm concerned, but through here, she managed to manage that mass, breath flow, and also the notes really, really well. I like that. Cool. Let's keep going.
Wish Music on Wish 107.5.
Like a shooting star, I could go the distance. I will search the world.
Where is she? Search. E flat. E flat 5. Gosh. Golly gosh, that is a high note. Wow. Okay, I want to hear that again.
Like a shooting star, I could go the distance. I will search the world. I will face its harm. I don't care how far. I can go the distance.
Jesus. Did she just go up to a G5? That is... I was like, E5, whoa. G5. Whoa. Okay, so G5, as you start to mix, so this is what I mean by a mixed belt is slightly different. She is mixing the heck out of this belt here. So she needs to keep that belt quality there, but she also needs to mix it enough that she's not overstraining here, so not trying to take up too much mass to the point where she actually can't hit the note. Because as the vocal folds get longer, they get thinner. So keeping mass on them, you kind of, it's kind of counterproductive if you try to hold too much mass there, because the function of them getting longer is that they actually get thinner, so the mass is becoming less. So as you're mix belting, you're relying a lot on the acoustics inside the vocal tract. Your placement has to be really, really spot on, because if something is out ever so slightly, you wind up with something really, really uncomfortable. The brightness, the twangy quality going through the sound here is imperative if you're wanting to mix belt, particularly that high. I mean, dang. So G5, that's nuts. Mix belt, lots and lots of twang on that sound. She's balancing it with the acoustic sort of space going on inside of her mouth. But yeah, you want to be supported for that one, otherwise it can hurt. Yeah, if you're up that high and you do something wrong, and you're going for a belt, things can happen. Oh my god, what did she do it again? She sustained the E flat 5 and then went up for a little riff again. Oh my god. This is intense. Like physically, it's super intense. Even the way that she's chosen to sing it, that much power into a belt like that, that is quite laborious for your muscles and your body. And yeah, when was this done? I want to know the time difference between, so this was 2017. Okay, so she did Mama Knows Best in 2019 and she did Go the Distance in 2017. I would say, based on the belting that I heard in Mama Knows Best and the belting in this one, there were points of there were certain sounds in this one where the sound did get quite tinny and it was a little bit pressed. I wouldn't have said that it was, obviously she was able to finish the song, so she was able to get through the song with that particular technique. But I do think listening to her belting in her Mama Knows Best, obviously Mama Knows Best didn't go quite as high as this particular song does, but I do think that the belting that she did in Mama Knows Best was a little bit more connected, which tells me that as over the course of 2 years, her technique has continued to develop and just get better and better and better. I would be so interested to hear her do this song again at a later date, because as you age, things just get more and more stable. In this situation, I don't know how old she was in here, but you got some lovely warmth coming through in her sound, insane belt up to G5, good speech quality, nice variety going through the verses so that we're connected to the story in some way. That last bit of belting, it went really, really high. Every now and again, there were points where I felt that the belt was a little bit more pressed, but she managed to get through the whole song. So to me, I had no words. I didn't know how to articulate after watching the end of this particular song. Like, that's just, it's just insane. Anyway, Katrina Velarde has just absolutely blown my mind. I mean, gosh, all these incredible Filipino singers. It's where does it end? So yet again, Katrina Velarde has managed to just blow my mind, because I wasn't expecting her to go there, and then she went there and she got through it and she finished it. And we've got all these other little things that she's doing, which as a vocalist make her more versatile and tell me, as someone who trains vocalists, that she's put in the time. She's put in the time for developing not just her voice, but also with developing the musical parts, being able to phrase in a way that makes it interesting, playing with dynamics. I mean, at the end, that is just like raw physical power. But it's also a technique to be able to belt in that way at that height. So, you don't just belt like that overnight. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for you to be able to cement that as part of your general singing technique, to be able to go up there. So just like last time, I find Miss Velarde to be very, very good at what she does. And from a vocal coach perspective, the way that she sang this, do not try this at home. Don't try this at home, kids. That's a special place to go in your voice, is to go up there and be able to do that at the end, and also sustain and be able to manage it perfectly, because sustains, it's not just about being able to hit the note. It's being able to manage the note over a certain period of time and not have that note mess with you and screw everything up halfway through the phrase you're meant to be sustaining. So gosh. Anyways, I think that is where I'm going to leave that one today, with my mind blown and Katrina just showcasing even more of her skills. If you did like this video, be sure to click the like button, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification beside it for more just like this one. As usual, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying healthy, and I will see you next time. Bye.
By your side.